Have you ever felt, even in the midst of an embrace, that something there was not true? Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone who claimed to love you and perceived a strange emptiness, a coldness dressed in sweetness, a silence that screamed louder than any beautiful word that came out of that person's mouth? It is not your insecurity, it is not a trauma from the past, it is not a fear of loving. It is your spirit trying to warn you of that which your mind still refuses to accept. Because there exists a very specific type of person who enters the life of the chosen one with a single objective: to divert, to delay, to contaminate, to drain, to destroy. And the most dangerous part is that this person almost never arrives with the face of an enemy. They arrive smiling. They arrive quoting God. They arrive saying the right words at the right moments with the precision of one who was sent, not of one who was attracted by chance. The romantic impostor does not collapse like a storm into your life. They enter like a breeze, soft, fragrant, enchanting, and when you realize it, you can no longer recognize who you were before they crossed your door. Your dreams have withered, your prayer has grown cold, your money has begun to vanish, your family has moved away, your friends were silenced, and you, who once shone, now walk like a shadow, wondering where that light went that lived lit in your chest before this face entered your story. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. A game in which the enemy knows very well the value of your calling, and for that reason, he does not send common obstacles to bring you down. He sends people. He sends faces. He sends bonds. Because the heart is the widest portal of the human soul, and whoever dominates your heart dominates your direction, your faith, your purpose, your entire family. The impostor does not come to love you. They come to interrupt you. And the greater your calling, the more sophisticated will be the disguise of the one who will be sent to stop you. Think carefully. Why do so many chosen ones report exactly the same pattern? Relationships that begin as a miracle and end as a nightmare. People who seemed like answers to prayer and revealed themselves to be spiritual snares. Connections that are too intense, too fast, too magnetic, as if there were a force pulling you toward each other. But that force did not come from above. It came from below. The chosen one has a spiritual scent. Your glory attracts both heaven and hell, and when hell identifies you, it does not send visible demons, it sends people. People who will sit at your table, sleep in your bed, hold your hand, and at the same time carry a silent mission against everything that God has prepared for you. You are not paranoid for suspecting. You are waking up. That is why I prepared the powerful digital book for you, the manual of the chosen by God to protect the family. This book is not merely reading, it is a map that shows exactly who is playing against your romantic life. What are the invisible traces that the impostor leaves even before opening their mouth? And what entities from other dimensions have already revealed about the envoys who enter disguised as companions into the life of the chosen one? It teaches you the rules they never told you about soul ties, false connections, seductive spirits, and the exact patterns that repeat in every chosen one who has not yet learned to identify the romantic snare before it is too late. This book was written for those who are tired of weeping over the same pain, repeating the same story, attracting the same type of person. For those who have awakened enough to know that there is an invisible force behind so many failed relationships, and that this force has a name, has a strategy, and has a target. The link is in the first pinned post at the top of the comments. But I must warn you, this type of content rarely remains available for long. What is in these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, because as long as the chosen one continues falling into the same traps, they will never reach the place they were destined to occupy. There have been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now. Chosen one, because you did not arrive at this text by accident. Download it now and comment below. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This comment is your first act of faith against the snare that perhaps is already being prepared against your romantic life at this very moment. And now that you have decided to act, pay attention, because the next truth I am going to reveal to you is the final blow against this oppression that has been dressing itself in affection for too long in your life. The first trace of the impostor is time. Pay close attention to this, chosen one, because this is where almost every awakened one stumbles. The envoy never respects the natural time of things. They are in a hurry to know you, a hurry to declare themselves to you, a hurry to promise you, a hurry to occupy you entirely. In a few weeks, they already speak of a life together. In a few months, they have already installed themselves in your most intimate affairs. True love has patience. The love sent by God respects seasons. But the impostor cannot wait, because they know that if you have enough time to pray, observe, and discern, their disguise will fall. Therefore they accelerate, they pressure, they create urgency where only patient construction should exist. The second trace is confusion. Where God is, there is peace. Where the impostor enters, there is a strange mist that settles over everything. You begin to doubt your own perceptions. Simple decisions become torment. You find yourself defending attitudes that you would have previously condemned, justifying the unjustifiable, yielding on points that were previously non-negotiable. This is not love transforming you. It is emotional possession dominating you. The impostor does not negotiate with your reason. They enter directly into your emotion, sabotage your discernment, and make you believe that the chaos they installed in your life is, in fact, the greatest proof of love you have ever experienced. The third trace is fatigue. You have never felt so exhausted. Even when you are with this person, something sucks you dry. You sleep and wake up tired. You pray, and it seems the prayer does not go past the ceiling. You read the word, and it does not nourish you as before. It is not a phase, it is not stress, it is spiritual vampirism. The romantic impostor is a sucker of energy, of life, of purpose. They embrace you and take away a piece of your glory. They tell you, I love you, and take away a piece of your identity. And the longer you remain within this bond, the less of you remains for the work to which you were called. The fourth trace is isolation. Observe carefully who has disappeared from your life since this person arrived. That friend who always gave you the right advice, that aunt who prayed for you, that brother from the church who always saw what you did not see. The impostor cannot stand spiritual presences around you. They create small frictions, sow subtle distrusts, plant seeds of resentment until, without realizing it, you have moved away from your own roots. And when you are alone, they have you, because an isolated chosen one is a weakened chosen one, and weakened they fall. And falling, they lose the window of time that God had reserved for their promotion. The fifth trace, and perhaps the most painful, is the silence of the spirit. Before you heard, before you felt, before you knew. Now there is a strange silence within you, as if the channel were turned off. It is not God who has fallen silent. It is the frequency of the impostor drowning out the divine frequency within you. When heaven falls silent, it is because heaven has already warned you of everything it needed to warn you, and now awaits your decision. There is a type of impostor even more dangerous, and few chosen ones manage to recognize them in time. It is the one who wears the clothing of faith, the one who prays before eating, the one who quotes verses at the exact moment you are in doubt, the one who seems to be the perfect answer from heaven to your loneliness. This is the cruelest disguise of all, because they take advantage of exactly what you hold most sacred, your search for God, to deceive you more deeply. Not just any spirit can imitate light. Only those trained in the art of spiritual seduction can present themselves as an angel, speaking like an angel, acting like an angel, while carrying inside the silent mission to bring you down. Chosen one, listen carefully. The fact that someone uses the name of God does not mean that person was sent by God. The fact that someone frequents the same place where you pray does not mean that person worships the same God as you. The fact that someone seems too perfect does not mean that perfection comes from on high. Often what seems perfect is exactly what was designed to measure to deceive you, because the enemy studied you. He has observed you for years. He knows your wounds, your needs, your secret desires, and he constructs within another person exactly the image that he knows would bring you down without you even reacting. That is why I insist, chosen one, the digital book that I prepared for you, the manual of the chosen by God to protect the family, is not just any recommendation. It is a key that opens the eyes to see everything that the romantic impostor does not want you to see. It teaches you to differentiate the holy connection from the snare disguised as purpose. It teaches you to identify which are the encounters that come to edify your family, and which are the encounters that come to destroy everything that God has been silently building in you for years. This book clearly shows what entities from other dimensions have already revealed about disguised envoys, about soul ties created in beds that should never have been shared, and about the exact pattern that repeats in the lives of all chosen ones who were targets of a romantic snare. The link is pinned at the top of the comments, but chosen one, this content is under constant pressure. What is in these pages challenges narratives that many systems have an interest in keeping intact, because a chosen one who learns to identify the imposter is a chosen one impossible to manipulate. And a chosen one impossible to manipulate is a direct threat to the plan that was traced against your entire lineage. They have tried to silence this type of knowledge before. It will not remain available forever. Download it now. Download. Comment: I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This comment is more than a written word. It is a spiritual decree that you will no longer fall into the same snare. And now that you have made this commitment, the next layer of the mystery will be revealed. Because what follows is what separates the chosen one, who sets themselves free forever from the chosen one, who continues repeating the same cycle their whole life. There is a truth that few have the courage to tell you. The romantic imposter, most of the time, does not act of their own will. They are an instrument, they are a bearer, they are a channel for something greater, older, and more strategic. Behind every imposter sent against a chosen one, there is a spiritual operation orchestrated with surgical precision. There are meetings at invisible altars where your romantic life is discussed. There are decrees pronounced in dead languages where your name is cited. There are offerings offered in hidden places so that your sentimental life becomes a field of ruins. And worst of all, the imposter often does not even know they are fulfilling an agenda. They are merely the casing. The real intention comes from much further away than they themselves could imagine. That is why so many chosen ones report relationships that end in destruction, even when both seem to want the best. That is why so many marriages begin at the altar and end in rubble without anyone quite understanding what happened. That is why so many good souls wound each other without knowing how to explain why. There is a third presence in most of these bonds, an invisible presence but absolutely real, a presence that feeds on your pain, your weeping, your sleepless nights, your unanswered questions, and the more you suffer, the fatter it grows. The more you surrender to emotional chaos, the more territory it gains within your spiritual field. Chosen one, it is time to understand one of the greatest truths about the invisible game. The heart is disputed territory. Your union with someone is not just physical, it is not just emotional, it is not just social, it is spiritual. When you surrender yourself to someone, there are exchanges that happen in layers that not even your mind can perceive. Energies mix, burdens transfer, spiritual inheritances connect. And if you surrender yourself to an imposter, you're not just hurting yourself. You are opening doors that will need to be closed later with much prayer, much fasting, and much spiritual warfare. That is why it is so common for chosen ones who have gone through wrong relationships to continue carrying for years the effects of that bond. Strange dreams, thoughts that are not yours, addictions that arose only after that relationship, financial curses that installed themselves only after that commitment. All these are spiritual marks left by the imposter in the field of your soul, and as long as these marks are not identified and broken, you will continue to attract the same profile of person, repeating the same cycle, with different faces but with the same poison. But there is liberation, there is breaking, there is complete restoration, and it all begins with discernment. Discernment is not distrust, it is not paranoia, it is not fear. It is the spiritual sixth sense that God deposited within the chosen one so that they may never be deceived by that which disguises itself. It is that internal voice that whispers, "Something is not right," even before the problem appears. It is that silent discomfort you feel when someone approaches too fast. It is that subtle perception that makes you look at a smiling person and see a shadow behind their eyes. Discernment is what separates the protected chosen one from the devoured chosen one. There are 7 main types of romantic imposters that prowl the life of the chosen one, and I will list each of them now, because this knowledge alone already begins to break the blindfold that the enemy placed over your eyes. The first is the imposter of neediness. They appear exactly when you are most vulnerable. They read your emotional state like an open book and present themselves as exactly what you need at that moment. But they did not come to supply you. They came to take advantage of your emptiness. The second is the imposter of mirroring. They pretend to like everything you like, believe in everything you believe, have the same dreams. You feel you have found your soulmate, but it is all a performance. They studied you before approaching you and constructed a character to measure. The third is the imposter of the promise. They offer everything: marriage, travel, home, children, stability, but their promises never materialize, and while you wait, they consume years of your life. The fourth is the imposter of control. They present themselves as a protector, then turn into a prison and convince you that this is love. But love that imprisons was never love. It was always domination disguised as affection. The fifth is the imposter of faith. They pray with you, quote verses, use God as a tool for approach and not as a foundation of life. And when you realize it, you have already given your heart to someone who carried the title without carrying the essence. Wait, chosen one. Before we continue with the last two types of imposter, which are in my experience the most devastating of all, I need to reinforce something with you. Everything I'm delivering to you now is just the tip of the iceberg. There is much more depth, much more detail, much more revelation waiting for you in the digital book, Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family. This book is not an expanded version of this video. It is another level. It is where the complete method for identifying the romantic snare before it closes around your life is described, chapter by chapter. It teaches you how to recognize not only the external signs of the imposter, but the internal marks they leave on you. It teaches you the procedures for breaking ties, the specific prayers for protecting the family, and the exact steps to shield your children, parents, siblings, and your own body against any spiritual infiltration disguised as a relationship. It reveals what are the most common times when romantic attacks against chosen ones happen, and how to recognize when you are being ambushed. This book was written for the chosen one who has already experienced more romantic disappointments than they could count, for the chosen one who wonders why they always end up getting involved with the same wrong type of person, for the chosen one who is tired of weeping over the same pain, repeating the same patterns, and hearing the same shallow advice that never touches the root of the problem. Because the problem is not in you. The problem is in the game that is being played against you, and you do not yet know all the rules. The link is in the first pinned post at the top of the comments. I must be honest, this book has been suffering pressure. What is in these pages challenges romantic narratives that entire systems have an interest in keeping in the air, because a chosen one who knows how to identify the imposter will no longer feed industries of pain, interminable therapies, endless cycles of suffering. There have been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Therefore, I ask you, do not delay, download it now. Comment below, I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. This comment is your decree that, from today on, you will no longer be an easy target for any imposter. And now that you have decided to protect yourself, the next truth I am going to deliver to you is the final blow against the oppression that has been dressing itself as love for too long in your life. The sixth imposter is the imposter of the past. This one does not arrive as a new person. They were already there. They are that ex who always returns at the wrong time, that friend of many years who suddenly began to show interest of another kind, that old passion that reappears precisely when you are about to take an important step in your calling. They come with the most dangerous disguise of all, familiarity. You lower your guard because you know them. You trust because there is history. You allow yourself because it seems safe. But the imposter of the past is exactly that. An anchor sent to pull you back to the version of you that God was already preparing to close. Always observe when someone from your past reappears unexpectedly right before an important spiritual turning point. This is not a coincidence, it is strategy. The enemy knows that you have grown, that you have changed, that you have advanced, and he sends you a piece of who you were to prevent you from becoming who you are being called to be. The seventh imposter, and this is the cruelest of all, is the impostor of destiny. This is the one who presents themselves as being your purpose, the perfect match, the one God set apart since before the world was formed, the one who knows intimate things about you that no one should know, who prophesies accurate things about your life, who appears with supernatural signs confirming the connection. Everything about them seems divine. Everything about them seems sacred. Everything about them screams that this is the will from on high. But chosen one, listen very carefully. The enemy also knows how to falsify destiny. The enemy also knows how to imitate the voice of God. The enemy also knows how to use spiritual knowledge to manipulate you. And when he perceives that you only obey, if it is by supernatural confirmation, he constructs an entire supernatural scene to deceive you. You think you are marrying your mission. You are marrying your sentence. You think you are uniting with your purpose. You are uniting with your prison. That is why discernment needs to be so much greater than emotion. That is why patience needs to be so much greater than desire. That is why time needs to be so much greater than haste. True destiny, when it arrives, does not force. It does not pressure. It does not terrify you. It reveals itself with peace, with clarity, with testimony confirmed by your own, with good fruit over time. True destiny withstands examination. True destiny is not afraid of being observed, tested, questioned. Only the impostor demands blind faith. And now, chosen one, pay attention. Every great calling is preceded by a great test, and hell's favorite test against the chosen one is never the financial test. It is never the health test. It is the romantic test. It is the test of the heart. Because the heart is the last place where the chosen one learns to surrender entirely to God. It is the last territory to be conquered. And as long as the heart is divided, committed to the wrong person, tied to the wrong bond, the chosen one cannot advance to the next phase of their calling. How many chosen ones stopped there? How many chosen ones died emotionally within relationships that should have lasted only a season? How many chosen ones gave up their calling to sustain a connection that should never have been established? How many pastors, prophets, missionaries, businessmen, artists lost everything they were supposed to build because of a person whom hell sent disguised as the love of their life? History is full of these cases, and your life does not need to be one more. The good news is that there is a breaking, there is liberation, there is complete restoration. But it begins with a simple and radical step: recognize. You need to recognize that if there were imposters in your life, they left marks. You need to recognize that you will not be able to walk to the next level, carrying the invisible scars of old bonds. And you need to recognize that there is a protection that can shield you from now on, so that no other impostor can ever approach the territory of your romantic life again. Prayer is a weapon. Fasting is a weapon. The word is a weapon. But knowledge, chosen one, is also a weapon. And what differentiates the victorious chosen one from the defeated chosen one is often not the amount of faith they have, but the amount of knowledge they possess about the invisible game in which they are inserted. Ignorance is the enemy's greatest ally. As long as you do not know the rules, you will be a piece for manipulation. But when you learn the rules, you become a player. And when you become a player, you begin to dictate your own moves with the authority that was always yours by divine right. I did not write the digital book, Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family, to sell. I wrote it because I saw too many people suffering in silence, repeating destructive romantic cycles, losing their calling because of the wrong people. I saw chosen ones who could be changing nations, but are weeping in dark rooms because the impostor destroyed them from within. This book is what I wish I had had before that person entered my life and did what they did. It speaks directly about how to identify the romantic snare in all its forms, about breaking soul ties created in wrong connections, about protecting the family against infiltrations disguised as relationships, about how to recognize imposters before they open their mouths, about the silent rituals that ill-intentioned people perform to conquer chosen ones, about how to shield your spiritual field, your home, your children, your parents. Everything in simple, direct language, and at the same time deep enough to shake layers of your soul that you did not even know existed. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. But chosen one, This type of material is under constant pressure. There have already been attempts to remove this content from the air, coordinated reports to silence these truths. Because as long as the chosen one continues falling into the same romantic traps, they continue to be profitable for systems that feed on human pain. But the informed, shielded, trained chosen one is a direct threat to all of that. Download it now. Comment below, "I am chosen and I will download the digital book." This comment is a spiritual decree that from this moment on, no romantic imposter will have free entry into your life anymore. Chosen one, before this video ends, I need to leave you one last word. Perhaps the most important of all, you did not arrive here by chance. This video did not appear to you by chance. There is a spiritual orchestration underway. Heaven is mobilizing to reach you before the imposter reaches you, or if they have already reached you, to rescue you before the destruction is complete. Every word you have just heard was sown with purpose, and now the ball is in your court. You can ignore all of this and continue as you have always continued, stumbling over the same stones, weeping the same tears, attracting the same profile of person who has always broken you. Or you can make a decision today, a decision to stand up, a decision to protect yourself, a decision to honor the calling that God placed on your life by not allowing any more imposters to consume the time, the energy, the heart, and the purpose that belong to the kingdom. Do not wait any longer. Download the digital book, Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family, right now. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. Leave your comment. "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." And your new era begins today. The era in which you are no longer easy prey. The era in which you see what was previously invisible. The era in which you walk with discernment, authority, and total protection over your romantic life and over your entire family. Heaven is waiting for your response. And your next love, the true one, the holy one, the one sent by God, cannot arrive while the ghosts of the imposters still occupy your heart. Clean the house, protect the territory, raise your guard, and prepare yourself to receive everything that was always yours by divine right. You are chosen, and from now on, no imposter will ever be able to deceive you again.